Good morning. Sunny Saturday morning, or here it is anyways. I'm just a few minutes early before we're starting here, so I'm just coming on early to start with a question. Well, actually to ask if there's any questions. Are there any remaining or residual, how do you spell remaining? Remaining, there we go. Questions. Good morning, dear Carolyn. From the last talk on biting the hook, which was about Vedana. So it's kind of a different, odd, large topic that I just wanted to check in with folks if there's any questions, because we're going to talk a little bit more, go a bit further with that topic. So any questions about practice, of course, are always welcome. Questions about what this is right here. And good morning, Patty. So if there's any questions about Vedana, the last conversation, feel free to type them in, or questions about practice. Just on here a few minutes before we're actually starting. I'll wait right till 9. Yeah. It's sometimes when I feel a talk wasn't very clear or was confusing, and so, but oftentimes when I check that out, people are like, no, it's fine, I got it. So it could likely just be an idea, a thought of mine, which is a mirage. All right, let's get myself tidied here. All right. So as people are just coming on board, just before I start the talk, there's an opportunity for any questions about practice thus far, questions about life practice. Good morning, Kathy. Hi, Monty. But also, in particular, any questions about Vedana from the last talk that we did. It feels like we to me. Hopefully it does to you. I feel a sneeze coming. Nope. Some folks that may be familiar with Vedana, and so it was kind of a refresher, and for others it was a very new topic, so feel free to ask for any clarification if it's needed. Pardon me. All right. So we'll just say good morning and welcome to this, good morning, Natalie, True North Insight live stream and recording. And True North Insight is Vipassana Insight Meditation Group teaching retreats in Canada, and also offering mentorships and personal Dharma support, practice support, lots of courses and sitting groups. And I'm one of the Dharma teachers, Jill Davey. So thank you for showing up on a hopefully beautiful day, wherever you're signing in from, watching from. Well, I guess these will be watched, maybe, available through time. So whatever the day is, I hope you are able to find some beauty in it. Not always easy. So, hi, Kathy, Terry, Linda. Good morning, folks. So feel free to type in any questions about practice. And Foxborough, Massachusetts. Lovely to have you here, Ellen. I'm glad it's beautiful there, Patty. And So yeah, if there's any lingering questions about Vedana, which was the last talk on biting the hook, don't bite the hook, that we were here for on Wednesday night. And so I thought it made sense to go a little further with that topic, a little deeper, but also still an introduction, of course. All of these are quite short talks and really maybe review for folks that have heard and been practicing in this way. But good morning, Zach. And Cynthia from Fredericton, how lovely. Great to see you. Great to see you here. Great to feel you here. I don't see you. Okay, so I'll just tuck into the talk, but feel free to add questions if they're coming up around Vedana, and then going a bit further today, carrying on from that. Yeah, so in the talk on, okay, I should also say that it's just words. Just don't try too hard to get it all or figure it out, especially if this is new to you. But also, you're welcome to take notes. Like a friend and I were talking about how, for me, that's a helpful way to integrate something, is to have the hand moving with the words in my mind onto paper. It solidifies it. I can review it. So, of course, it's video here, so you're welcome to take notes if you like. No problem. Even when we're together in a class or a sitting, I don't mind it. On a retreat, not so much. So in the talk on Wednesday, we were talking about Wednesday. A little recap, yeah. Yeah, it'd be good to go back and watch that part one of, it's called Don't Bite the Hook, part one, but I will do a little recap. So we were talking about what the Pali term is Vedana, Vedena, and I use the Pali because in translation into English is confusing. In English, we would say it's feeling tone, which is different than emotions, feelings. So it means only three things: pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And, there's a whole talk about it, but in brief, it starts with what we call form, which means this form of elements of earth, water, fire, air, all the elements that make up a body. And also all the elements that make up all the things, all the everything is form. It's made up of all these different molecules coming together to create something that looks and feels so solid. And of course, we know it is not so solid. It ages, it gets sick, it's changing, it's growing. The cells are dying off and being reborn and changing shape all the time. Not only within this body, but within this mug. We know that molecules are always vibrating and moving, and at the atomic level. And even something that seems so huge and permanent, like the earth, we know is changing, always changing, moving, growing, disintegrating, reforming. Like the mountains, the Himalayan mountains are, I can't remember if they're getting smaller or they're getting bigger, depending on how continental plates are coming together. Sometimes mountains are getting bigger, but of course they're always eroding. Everything that seems solid and permanent it appears like a solid form, and is not. So this form of this body meets and knows the world through its contact with the sense doors, right? Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, and mind. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, mind. I did it. 6. And this is how we, come in contact with our world, which is also form. Now, within that contact, within that immediate, it happens instantaneously. It's not something you try to control. It's not something you're doing wrong or right. Within that is the experience of what I'm calling, certainly not what I'm calling, what is called Vedana. Sorry. Pardon me. That's on video forever. Vedana is either pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, which in short is easier to call neutral. More accurately, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So there's a continuum of all contact, which is different than it's before craving and aversion happen. It's just the contact is pleasant. It may be unpleasant for you, pleasant for me. It changes over time. Pleasant becomes unpleasant, etc. The whole thing is moving. It's not in the object. It's in a whole variety of factors in a moment of contact. Okay, so here we're going on. One of the greatest, I think, insights from Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, and Buddha means awakened one, is a model he saw, awoke to, that helps us understand what I am, what makes up me, what makes up this sense of me. And it's very profound and liberating. Of course, his Four Noble Truths are the great insight that he awoke and taught. And this is very related to the Four Noble Truths. All right. Now, and these two things I've already been talking about, form and Vedana. Form, all these elemental forms, making contact with the world, which produce Vedana, the feeling tone of that contact, are two parts of this model he saw into. It's not something he thought about. He awoke to, seeing this clearly. It's called, in short, the 5 aggregates. Aggregates are like, when you go like a gravel yard, the aggregates are all the pieces that make up something. And so he saw into the pieces that make up this thing, me. The Pali word is kanda, for those of you interested. I'll just pop a few words in here because I know some of you are interested in that. So Vedana and kanda. Kanda means heap. So this is a heap of aggregates, a heap of elements, pieces that we take to be me and mine. All right, going on. So from form arises Vedana. So when this eye sense door makes contact with this computer screen and seeing myself, There's immediately a sense of Vedana, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. In this case, it's pleasant because I feel like I'm talking to you and there's just a contact that feels pretty pleasant. Um, the next thing that happens immediately, like this happens faster than we can conceive of unless we're really still and awakened, as Buddha was. Immediately then happens what's called perception. And this is a very fascinating place because in the perception, a couple things happen. One of them is naming of an object. Memories are associated. Memory is part of how we name a thing, right? I'm going to say more, clarify this in a moment. We categorize. And so in this, self arises. Okay, so I'll explain. When my eye sense door opens, it makes contact with the world. So instead of looking there, it's confusing. I'll look at my, there, I already said my mug. So I'm just going to place it down here, but you can just picture it, that it's there. So when the eye opens, it sees that form and pleasant. It's a pretty blue pottery mug. It's a nice little shape and it's got lovely water in it. So right now that contact is pleasant. But it also in there that happened just instantly is the naming. So I already instantly said mug. That's based on memory. It's based on language. I was taught this is what a mug is. I know it's a mug. I know it's a mug. And if it was like some drinking vessel I'd never seen before, I would still the mind would instantly try to categorize it like, it's open at the top, it's solid, it's holding liquid. I'll call it's a cup, it's a mug. If it had a handle, I'd call it a mug. Instantly. So categorizing, memory, naming happens instantly. But so importantly, in that moment, this is just so big. In that moment of that happening, just automatically, you're not doing it. You don't need to try and stop doing it. I am created because the I says, that's the mug there, and I am here. As soon as naming and categorizing of some object, a tree, of you, of the chair, of water, whatever, everything, even something that seems insubstantial, wind or air, I don't know what else seems insubstantial, everything is, and is not. Oh, Jill. Okay. I get excited. As soon as that contact happens, not just with the eye, you understand, with the ear, with the touch, taste, smell, and the mind, it creates a separation. There's that thing, which means that's there and I'm here. Instantly, it's created me separate from. And this is not true. This is false. This is true, though. Okay. It's because there is no separation. There's no separation. It's all moving. It's all light and vibration and molecules, and it's all just life, completely interconnected. And we are deluded into the mirage of thinking we are separate from anything. And as soon as this happens, we either want or don't want. If it's pleasant, it's there, I'm here, I want it. So there's the thing, it's pleasant, I want it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to try to get it. If I can't get it, I'm going to suffer. If it's unpleasant, I don't want it. I don't want to hear what you're saying. I don't want this disease in my body. I don't want this aging. I don't want this weather. I don't want this politician. Whatever. And so then we decide that's there. I'm here. That's the problem. I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah. So Blakey's question, do you mean, hi, first of all, do you mean the mind quickly and automatically creates a me, a separate self, unless we can be aware of this? Yeah. Yes. Such a great question. Yes, it automatically happens. It's part of the aggregates. It's part of how this system functions. It's part of how we create language and communicate about things, is to, to say, I love you. It's just how we have to use language, we have to communicate. And in that, I've used words like I and you. But I know it's just a convenience of language, because I know, there, I can feel it. I love you means we love. We are love. We are it. There's no separation. It's just a convenience of language. And so we can go ahead, and it's good to notice how many times you say I and try to cut that out. But but also just say it, but also know it's not true. Oh, that's another topic. It's true and it's not true. There is a separate self. Right now, you can't feel this poking. But I see through it. I know it's not permanent. I know it's not me. I know it's not mine. I know it's changing. There's nothing here to be clung to. So this is just a function of how this body, mind, brain works. Form, Vedana, perception. The perception of separateness that happens in the naming creates something I want and don't want, because it's out there and either I like it or I don't like it, or neutral and I'm just not even paying attention to it. Happens. So there's 5 aggregates of what create me. Vedana, or pardon me, form, Vedana, and now we've talked about perception. Perception is so important. What we're perceiving as being a problem, as being something I can get rid of or get, or not pay attention to, this is an illusion, a mistake. From this, immediately, all of this happens like faster than I can snap my fingers. It just happens so fast, all of this. And it's just so astounding that what I was able to see this is mind-blowing. I'm probably talking too much and too fast. Okay, so form, all of the forms, even the air, form. Instantly, when we make contact through our senses, we have Vedana, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Immediately, we have perception, that there, me here. This includes all our memories about it. Then we have mental formations, number 4, mental formations. Volitional formations, this is also called. And this is where karma comes in kama in Pali, kama. Again, if you're not into Pali or all this like stuff, don't worry about it. You don't need to get all this to still have some real liberation, freedom here. This can be available to anybody. Okay, just to see. This is what I call me. This form. It's making contact with the world. It's creating a sense of separation that is false. And then it reinforces that separation with the stories, the mental formations. Okay, so if it was pleasant and I want it, I should have it. I work hard. I haven't had a treat in a while. I can pay for it later. We'd start to back it up with all our stories and mental formations about it. Same for unpleasant. Why is this happening to me? Why are they like that? Why can't they be like me? We could go on infinitely about all of the ways we reinforce our position and cling to it. And the reinforcing is what creates future dust, residue that's called karma. And it's influenced by past actions, thoughts, and speech, karma. And that is what is propelling us forward in a habitual way. The fifth one is consciousness. This is the knowing quality that arises in this formation. Consciousness arises. Okay, the thing to try to understand that all of this happens continuously, absolutely continuously, and so fast that it becomes perceived as reality. Don't bite the hook. This is not reality. It's an illusion. It is not the truth of how things are. I wish we were together so I could, please pop in a question if you're back on a part or stuck on a part or confused. It's confusing, but it's also freaking awesome. So awesome. I know. My girl Patty says, you get so excited. Okay. I said before how this is related to the Four Noble Truths. The truth of understanding suffering and the ending of suffering. Ending of suffering is not when you die. Ending of suffering is right now. The ending of suffering is when you let go of clinging to any of this. Clinging. Clinging is the cause of suffering. Clinging is the cause of suffering. Okay, here's the definition of suffering. I should probably do another talk on dukkha. That might be next. Dukkha means suffering. It's a bad translation. So I might just read this and we'll go into it maybe later. But I want to get to one part in particular. For folks that like the suttas, it's Samyutta Nikaya 56:11. Okay, birth. I'm going to use the word dukkha. No, should I just say suffering? I'll say suffering because I'll need to explain dukkha. So I'm just going to say suffering. Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Death is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Association with the unbeloved is suffering. That means unbeloved, what you don't want. Separation from the loved is suffering. Not getting what is wanted is suffering. And here's the part I wanted to emphasize today. In short, the 5 aggregates subject to clinging are suffering. So the Buddha summed up all of the sufferings as this, in short. These 5 aggregates that I taught about this morning are suffering. These 5 aggregates subject to clinging. So as Blakey pointed out in the question, it's not that the 5 aggregates are suffering, it's if they're clung to as being me and mine, and everything else being stuff I need to get or not get to be happy. These 5 aggregates, these pieces that make up this heap of me, of everything, when it's seen and understood clearly, you don't need to watch all these details happening. I'm just breaking it down. But it's just to know. Sometimes we can just remind ourselves, that's not really true. I am not separated from my beloveds. Physical distancing is an illusion. As soon as I'm thinking of my beloved, those who have died, those who aren't with me physically right now, they're with me in my heart, in my awareness, my heart, mind, being. We're breathing the same air. We're, we're completely not separate. The pain is that we're separate in a way we don't want. I want to be able, to talk with my dad again, or I want to be able to hang out with my mom. All the things, and I mean that's on a big level, right? That's the big one, death. But it could just be, shoes and ice cream and silence and whatever, all the things we want and don't want. And we can just see. Okay, we can see. This is how the Buddha described it. He taught a lot in similes. I'm going to stop in a moment, I promise. This is the last bit, and then we're going to practice. Okay, this is really, I love images, and some of us are more visual than others. So the Buddha taught a lot in beautiful similes. And these are the similes he gave for these 5 aggregates that we're talking about this morning, which I can't believe I'm talking about on YouTube because it's like a big, huge topic. But I hope that no matter what your level of experience here, you're able to just loosen up a little bit one of the knots in our perception of separation. Just like start to question it a bit, like, that'd be great. That'd be great. Here's the similes for these 5 aggregates. I'm going to write the 5 here. So it's form, Vedana. I could say feeling tone, but I'm going to stick with the Pali for that one because it's the best. Perception is the perception of that's there, I'm here. That's the place where we create this sense of self. I'll call it mental formations. It's all really volitional formations. Volition is comma. Consciousness is the last one. Okay, there's the 5 of them for you, these 5 aggregates. Here's the similes. They were, the Buddha was visiting with some folks on the bank of the Ganges River in India. And there, addressing, he was talking to monks. He said, suppose a large glob of foam were floating down the Ganges River. The Grand River where I live, when they open up the dam and it's really going, these massive globs of foam come onto the banks of the river up at the base of the dam, and then they break off and they float downriver. And okay, so a glob of foam. And so seeing this, you can picture this, you've seen it perhaps, a glob of foam floating down a river. If you, seeing it, observing it appropriately, examining it, it would appear, would it not, empty, void, and without substance, right? Yes, it's just like breaking off, bubbles are breaking, it's floating away, it's arising, it's impermanent. Okay, this is, and then he says, in the same way, we, those who are studying, practicing, trying to understand the nature of reality and to be free from clinging, we should also see that this form is like a glob of foam. It is also arising, constantly changing, absolutely impermanent, insubstantial, empty, void, without substance. Even though we love the substance. And we love other people's substance. I love your substance. I'd love to hug your substance. But I also know it is impermanent. Okay? The second aggregate, he says, when it's raining, fat, heavy drops, and then a water bubble were to appear and disappear on the water. Water bubble. Different than the globs of foam. It's like it's raining, and then the big drops of water of rain into the water create a bubble that pop, is gone, right? This is the simile he used for Vedana, that feeling tone, because it's even more ephemeral. It changes as soon as the eyes move around, as soon as sound comes and goes, as soon as taste is changing, as soon as touch is changing, sensation, it's very quickly ephemeral, like bubbles arising and popping. Okay? I'm saying okay, as if you could say yeah. Okay, third one. Third simile image to help us. Maybe, may it be helpful to you? May it be helpful to us all? The third one is a mirage, a shimmering mirage. Shimmering is nice. There you go. He says, now suppose in the last month of the hot season, picture India, hot season, desert, and then a mirage were shimmering. So alluring, so tempting, so delightful, so beautiful, so seductive. And one observing it and appropriately examining it would see that it's empty and void and without substance. It's a mirage. It's not real. In the same way, we should see perception that way. Perception is the one of naming, memory, placing something there. That is a mirage. That's just shimmering. It's not true. It's not separate. You are not separate. It's a mirage. How you doing? You okay? All right, we're getting there. 2 more. Last one. Last simile here. Now, okay, this one is a large, not large banana tree. Supposing that someone desiring what in the suttas is called heartwood. It means good wood that you can build with and create with. It's solid wood, like a tree that, you cut through it and it's a beautiful tree trunk, like an oak tree, whatever. All of the trees we have in North America anyways are of this nature. I don't think anyone's growing bananas. There's lots of plants that have that are like a banana tree. So someone going into the forest looking for heartwood, looking for something solid and that I can build and construct with, instead going into the forest carrying a sharp axe. There you see instead a large banana tree, straight, young. It looks tall and solid. It's producing this amazing fruit. It looks like a tree. And there, having chopped off the top, we would begin peeling away the outer skin. And peeling away the outer skin of a banana tree, you wouldn't even find sapwood, let alone heartwood. It's hollow inside. It's like it's like bamboo. So this is the simile for the mental fabrications, mental formation. It seems so solid. I'm sure that's true. Oh my gosh. Are we getting a lot of this on Facebook these days on our news stream? This is true. I know. This is proof. Oy. No, it's just a mental fabrication. You do not know the whole picture. You don't know the truth, and so we need to see where's, the heartwood in these mental fabrications are justifications. Hollow. Oh my God, I'm preaching this morning. Okay, last one. The last simile from the Buddha to describe and give us these gorgeous images of these aggregates that we take up to be true and how the world is. These not seen clearly. The last one is a magic trick. Oh, yes. Now suppose that a magician or a magician's apprentice were to display a magic trick at a major intersection. And because they didn't have TV then, you come to a crossroad, there's a magician there trying to do a trick to earn some wage. Someone with good eyesight were to see it, observe it, and appropriately examine it. To one really seeing, observing, and appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance, because you're able to see, oh, it's a magic trick. It's beautiful. It's a lovely illusion. But I know it's a magic trick, like on what is that, American Idol or something, or one of those things. Sometimes they have magicians on, right? And Simon Cowell's there judging and woo, like pretending to be so scared or so amazed. It's like, yeah, it's freaking amazing that you were able to pull that off, but I know it's a trick, right? You know that they didn't actually cut the person in half. They didn't actually pull a bunny out of a hat. It's an illusion. And this is the simile for consciousness. Wow. We went there. How you doing? How'd that go? More questions? Less questions? Oh my. Food for thought. These are liberating insights. These are here to teach us where we can let go of identification. It's the identification with these phenomena. This is just this is how the system works. It's miraculous that he was able to discern this. We don't have to think about all this, figure it out. Remember what's happening now. Is it a mental formation? Is it a proliferation? What's happening? Perception? You don't need to, just don't. You don't need to do that. It's just going to happen. It is happening right now, continuously, faster than we can understand. Just don't identify with it. There you go. Don't cling to it. Or see the clinging. See the clinging. Just watch. Oh, I'm clinging. And this is damn painful. It's painful because of the clinging. Oh, yes, I do know easier said than done. It's a practice. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Patty. Watching this again. Good idea. So fascinating. And the simile seems so helpful in remembering and understanding the 5. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love the images. So ephemeral. Okay. Please stay if you're able to and tuck in, settle in. This is a lot of words, a lot of energy, even though there's a screen here. I'm sure it was like, you can sense my joy in the Dharma. So helpful for all of us to settle and let this integrate for a few minutes here. Okay? So please put down any devices, anything you're distracted by. And I'll stop animating here so you can just let your eyes rest. Taking any sighing breaths that you need. Right now, without trying to meditate, don't try to meditate. Just sit here. Turn your attention to your body, heart, mind, your whole being, and feel its nature. Can you feel it's vibrating, it's moving, it's pulsing, flowing? Your thoughts are coming and going. Constant stream. The emotions cresting and passing like waves. Just be still for a few moments here and feel this. Pay attention. All the sounds around you are completely just vibration moving through. All the sensations in your body, even the ones you think are permanent, are changing. They're pulsing or vibrating, moving. See if you can just feel this right now. Beautiful moment to awaken right now. Everything's tingling, flowing, absolutely interconnected. And then perhaps you can notice when contraction happens. Can you notice when you start to identify with a thought or a storyline and you stop just feeling the flow, the effervescence, and then just let it go again. It's all coming and going. It's all interconnected. And there's nothing to get or get rid of, nothing to cling to. Just rest. Nothing to control right now. Just rest. If you feel any thoughts being clung to, any sensations being clung to, just feel that in the body. Feel that that's happening. And then let it be its nature. Let it be its nature, passing through. Just a few more minutes here. Rest, rest. If you feel the contractions start to arise, oh, I need to go. I need to go do something else. Just feel that as a clinging. You've taken up an idea. Let it go. Let it float by. Let it pop like a bubble. Rest. Each one of these moments, when you just let nature be nature, is a moment of liberation, of freedom. Just hear these three sounds in their context of form. There's your ear organ meeting the vibration from the object, and we can name it and place it. All that just happens instantly. And see if you can just rest and just know these three sounds until the third one ends. Good morning, Geeti. Thank you for being here. So, a little further, just in addition to Blakey's question about, how do we find the freedom with this? The sutta goes on to say, seeing thus, the well-instructed one, us, grows disenchanted with form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. Disenchanted meaning no longer enchanted, right? Enchanted, like seduced, enchanted like a magic trick or something. And one becomes no longer enchanted. We can still love life and love. Absolutely, even more so when we understand this clearly, we're even more in love, and but we're not enchanted anymore. And then with disenchanted one grows dispassionate. Now there's a word that Westerners don't like. Dispassionate. What? I'm all about the passion. Dispassionate meaning it's again part of this seduction. We're not the passion has clinging in it, right? Clinging. So dispassionate, which doesn't mean we're not completely even more in love, even more wanting all of us to be free from suffering, even more compassionate, but not. So we grow dispassionate with this delusion of clinging to what is ephemeral. And then through dispassion, one becomes released, liberated, free. You're welcome, Rebecca and Marcus. That was a big one. I love you all, and I wish you freedom. Oh, look, I have to do this. I have to write myself a big old Post-it note, Donna, because I get going, and then I get wishing you well, and I forget. The links down below to offer support to True North Insight and myself. This is my work here, and any support is fabulous. So thank you so much. I think that's it. And feel free to message me if there's any topics you would like me to dig into a bit more. I might need to go more into dukkha, suffering. I find watching Vedana a wonderful start to see the instinctual relationship and then begin to unravel illusion. Thanks, Zach. Awesome. Yeah, so if folks hadn't watched that first part of Don't Bite the Hook, on Vedana, that may be helpful. And so great that these are around. We can watch again if you like. All right, sweethearts, have a beautiful day. May we all see the true nature of how things are and the freedom, the liberation within that, so that we can have more joy and more connection with each other. Thank you.